everybody, and welcome to the video that is going to be explaining the Learning Styles Quiz 2. And in this video, all we're simply going to be doing is taking a look at how we complete the quiz, how we score it, and also what it is that you're going to be doing with the results at the end of the quiz. So let's get started. Right, this quiz is all to do with your sensory preference, and you'll notice that you have been given a list of statements, and for each statement you need to indicate the following. You're going to indicate often if the statement does describe your learning preference most of the time. You will indicate sometimes if the statement describes your learning preference but only some of the times. Is rarely. You will indicate rarely if the statement hardly describes your learning preference at all. So this is the quiz score sheet that you have been given, and this is where you're going to be filling in your answers. You will notice at the top you have got an O, S and R, obviously representing often, sometimes and rarely. So you read your statement 1, and if statement 1 you look at, you go, oh no, that doesn't describe me at all, you're going to click really. You read statement 2 and yeah, sometimes I like that, you're then going to click sometimes. You read statement 3, and if you're thinking, yeah, that's me all the time, I love it when my teacher does that, you will obviously click often. And so you go on until you have completed all 24 questions. For this example, we're only going to be doing 12 so that I don't bore you to tears. Once you have completed all 24 questions, you are then going to start your scoring. For every single question, wherever you ticked rarely, you're going to give yourself 1. Wherever you ticked sometimes, you're going to score a 2. And wherever you scored an often, you're going to give yourself a 3. And that rings true for every single question. So it's always 1 for rarely, 2 for sometimes, and 3 for often. Once you have scored all 24 questions, you now need to add up your score. And you will notice that each block has got a little letter next to it. And you are then going to add up all the blocks separately. So the A block, they have all been grayed out a little bit. You add up all your A's, and that indicates your auditory preference. So let's say at the end of the 24 questions, you got 14 for auditory. You're then going to add up the block with all the V's in it, which is obviously your visual preference, and say at the end of all 24 questions, you managed to score 22 for visual. And the same for tactile, all the blocks with the T next to it, you add up all those scores, and say you got 21 for tactile. In this instance, it would mean that if this person did this test for real, they would then be what we call a visual learner. So what do we do with the results? You first of all need to take a look at what your sensory preference was. If you're visual, it means that you're a visual learner, and visual learners prefer using images, pictures, colors, and maps to organize information. If you clicked A, it means you're an auditory learner, and auditory learners depend on hearing and speaking as a main way of learning. If you scored highest in tactile, it means that you're a tactile learner, and tactile learners need to be actively doing something while learning. You then go and take a look at the learning preference sheet, which gives you learning suggestions for your sensory preference. So in this example, this person scored as a visual learner, so they can take a look at the sheet for visual learner and take a read through. Whatever you think you like, you're going to highlight. So if you think, yes, watching videos will really help me, I like that idea, and YouTube is definitely right up my alley, I think I will do that. You highlight it. You go through highlighting all the ideas that you think you will enjoy while you are doing your learning. If by any chance you came tie with 2 of the sensory preferences, or actually scored the same result for all 3 sensory preferences, don't panic. It is very possible not to have a sensory preference at all. Then what you do is you're going to take a look at the study tips for the visual, auditory and tactile learners and highlight all the ones that you think you would enjoy best in your learning routine. So guys, that is it for I hope you managed to understand exactly what was going on. Please remember, if you've got any questions, please feel free to ask.